So there I was. I was walking down the side of the canal, and I've been reading this book about trying to get back into the moment and be in the here and now. And I was trying to embody the learning from this book. And along this stretch of canal just near where I live, you quite often see kingfishers. And I really love kingfishers. And when I see one, I feel like it's a little bundle of condensed joy and magic. This incredible translucent colour as they fly across the water. And I'm walking along, and I'm feeling the weight through my feet and the air on my skin. And I'm listening to the birds singing, and I'm taking in all the visual input around me, and I'm being here in the moment. And I catch a bit of blue out the side of my vision, and I look around and I think, kingfisher. And it's a little bit of blue on the prow of a boat on the canal. I think that's all right, that's beautiful. It's a lovely colour. I can see it reflecting in the water there, see how the boat's bobbing up and down. And I can feel the air on my skin and my weight through my feet, and I can hear the birds singing. And I'm here, and this is really good. I'm embodying this learning about being in the moment. And I carry on walking a bit longer. And there's a bit more blue, and I think, kingfisher. And I look round, and there's a bit of blue on a signpost or something. But it's a nice colour blue, and it's reflecting in the water, and I can see the way the waves are moving there. And I can feel the air on my skin and the weight through my feet, and I can hear the birds singing. And I'm here, and this is really good. And I carry on walking about another 30 metres. And then suddenly, kingfisher flies past me. And I think, wow, did I invoke that kingfisher? Or did I have a premonition that I was going to see that kingfisher? Or is it just that, in a more sort of mundane sense, I was in a heightened state of awareness that meant that I was already aware of it earlier and now I've seen it fly past? But I don't care, I don't mind. The fact is, when I saw it, it made me well up and it felt magical. And it made me think, it doesn't matter. If something feels magical, if it looks magical, then why not allow it to be? Why not embrace that and allow it to come into your being and enhance your world? So that's where I left you in the last show. So those of you who were here last time were probably thinking, wait a minute, we've heard this before. But that was the previously, didn't think of a song. So what happened next? So here I am thinking about allowing magic into your world. And I carried on walking a little bit away from the canal. And it was kind of late autumn time. And the sun was low in the sky at that time of year. And it was slanting through the trees and sort of dappling on the floor, making these little circles of light. And I went up this path that goes through a sort of channel of trees. And there's this pool, almost a perfect circle of light. And in the middle of this circle was a little clump of mushrooms. And I thought, I know these little fellows. These aren't just any old mushrooms. And sure enough, it was a very specific genus of mushroom, of which I have partaken in the past. And it just blew my mind. I thought, here I'm allowing magic into my world, and here it is, like literally growing out of the ground. And it got me thinking about what these things have done for me in the past. I've had some very crazy experiences with those, and I'm not advocating taking hallucinogenics or anything like that, but it has happened to me. And one of the effects of taking said mushrooms is it sort of has the effect of making you feel like you're outside of time and space somehow. And in the last show, I talked about coming from a place of certainty and safety and mundanity, and talked about what it takes to knock you off that sort of trajectory. And this was one of the things that happened to me. So this first song is about that. It's about the feeling of being outside of time and space and being taken way out of your normal comfort zone. And it's called Weird Shit. And it goes like this. pick a mushroom from the ground, and it turns my world around. But then I see it's already spinning. Those Avalonian mists are thinning. Weird shit is happening. Weird shit. Oh yeah. Weird shit is happening. Shit happens, it's weird. Summer solstice on the tour. 100 people, maybe more. All religions and all races. I see myself in all their faces, 'cause weird shit is happening. Weird shit, oh yeah. Let's bust some clouds. Watch them go. Above the clouds, make them go away. See the children, they all seem to know. What is it that we lose? As we grow, we grow, we grow, we grow, we grow, we grow. Then I see my best friend wanting to die. It ain't too cool that I'm the reason why. But those pills can't help you see. It's time to build a new reality. Weird shit is happening. Weird shit, oh yeah. Weird shit is happening. Shit happens. It's So one of the consequences of these bizarre experiences for me personally was it actually opened my eyes to some possibilities that otherwise might not have been apparent and probably wouldn't have been possible at all. One of which was meeting my soulmate. And circumstances were such that we really wouldn't have been able to recognize one another as such had it not been for this external influence. As I say, I'm not advocating it. I'm not telling you to all go away and pick magic mushrooms this autumn, but, you know. But if you find any, let me know. But what happened was, I can't go into the detail because it involves people living and possibly present, but it was simultaneously the most wonderful, enlivening, beautiful, exciting, exhilarating experience, but at the same time it was dangerous and troublesome, and I nearly lost my best friend over it, and you can fill in the gaps yourselves if you like. So it was a very turbulent time, and sometimes to get from this place of kind of mundanity to this place of in evolvement evolvement, is that a word? Anyway, it is now, evolvement. You have to, the only way is through. And it felt like this love that we recognized in one another had always been there. And my best analogy was, it was like a river. And you could see the river flowing down from the mountains as a little trickle, and then growing and deepening. And then it came to the point where we were, which was fairly turbulent and rapid. And then it was going out into the ocean. It's like an ocean of possibility. What a lovely metaphor. But we were stood there at this point where we had to make a decision to jump off and actually experience these rapids. And I'm happy to say we did. And we were very glad we did. And this next song is about that sensation of floating downstream, but again, in a sort of timeless way. It felt like this love lives outside of time, and I think perhaps love does, and maybe time is this sort of awkward construct that we've created for ourselves that can be quite inhibiting, and sometimes an experience like that actually takes you beyond that. So this song is called Floating Downstream, and it's all about that. Floating downstream, singing our songline, living our dream. Drifting through time, we're drifting through time, bridging the border between yours and mine. All that has been and all to come, it's all right here under the sun. All that we were, all will be, it's right here for you and me. We didn't search, we didn't try. We built no castles in the sky. We didn't want, we didn't need. We didn't dig or plant a seed. drifting through time, drifting through time, bridging the border between yours and mine. Floating downstream, we're floating downstream, singing our song lines, singing our song lines, singing our song lines, living our dream. Floating downstream, floating downstream, floating downstream, floating downstream, floating downstream. So then what happens? You floated downstream and everything's lovely and you reach the ocean of possibility. But things don't always run smoothly. You hit doldrums and there are storms and life goes on and you have to deal with that. And modern life seems to be pretty complicated. I think that's a kind of a theme that comes back time and time and again through the media and everything else. And often we blame computer technology for that and the internet and social media and all those things, and probably quite rightly so. Now, having reached a happy place, I guess, and a fulfilled place in my world, I found myself doing the stuff I love, playing music and composing and working with amazing creative people. But sometimes you hit those doldrums. There are times when nothing's coming your way and the money's not there. And it's easy to start feeling frantic, and I think now more than ever. And what happened in my case was that I realized that I was spending more and more time just fixated on the computer screen, and I was checking my emails to see if anybody had sent anything my way, and I was building profiles because I had to let everyone know who I was, and then I was paying intermediaries to put my stuff out there. And what I should have been doing was playing music and creating and actually getting on with stuff. And doing the things that will actually then attract whatever it is that you need. But it's a trap that's very easy to fall into, especially when we're so dominated by our computers. And this next song deals with all of that. And it's a kind of slightly wry, satirical look at trying to extract yourself from the dominance of the computer. It's called un-PC. My computer is eating me, stuck in a room where I don't want to be, sitting here behind some screen, ain't no way to find my dream. I want to be un-PC. Face, go read a book. Don't Google Earth, go outside and look. Or YouTube if you want to. I'm on a closed window as I read through. Stroke the cat. Get some real mail from the mat. next girl that I meet, I'm going to engage in random conversation in more than 140 characters. What's that sound coming through the air? I've heard it before somewhere. Running beautiful like musical glitter. It's those birds and it's starting to twitter. It's time for me. It's time for me to unPC. It's time for me. It's time for me to unPC. So while we're all being dominated by social media and then the computer and we're getting all this information, it's funny, I expect quite a few of you will be of a similar age to me in that you grew up with a program called Tomorrow's World. And we were promised that these computers that had started to creep into sort of commercial life were going to then come into our domestic lives. And we're going to have home computers. We're going to have personal computers. Oh, yeah. And they were going to just make life so much easier. They're going to create all this space. And with all that space, it would be great because we wouldn't need to work so much. And we could have more time to play and interact and socialize and make music and play sports and be creative. But somehow that hasn't happened. And the problem is, I think, is that we didn't take the trouble to value the time that it takes to actually make things and do things and interact and be creative. And so with technology, we can do everything quicker and quicker and quicker. And so we're under more and more pressure to do that. And the people at the top can then have things made more quickly and more cheaply, and then they can mass produce them and sell them all around the globe. And it means that the craftspeople who take their time to do things properly are being squeezed out of the equation, which potentially to the detriment of us all. But not only that, it seems to be that while we're dashing around, sort of mindlessly, following the money, or not even mindlessly, I mean, I think most people don't have any choice in the matter, it makes us even easier to manipulate. And things happen on a vast global scale over which the person at the bottom of the pile has really no control. And maybe it's not a new thing. Before computers there were televisions, and I come from a generation in which if it was on the television it had to be true. And before that people believed everything they read in the newspapers. So I guess it's the medium that's changing, and perhaps those sort of overarching themes haven't changed too much. But for whatever reason, it does seem to be that as a society we get maneuvered into some horrendous situations. And this next song is kind of my personal take on that state of being. And the idea of this song came to me on the 12th of September 2001, which might not seem like a particularly important date to anybody, except that it came after the 11th of September 2001. And I expect everyone can remember where they were on that date. I can. I was here in Bath on the 11th of September. In town there used to be a music shop called Duck, Sun and Pinker, which was this sprawling place with different departments that used to be in the centre of the city here. And back then they actually had TVs. There was a whole window full of TV screens, which undoubtedly would have been relaying all this mayhem that was going on. But nobody was looking at those because there was somebody lying on the ground having a seizure, just here. So all our attention was down on the ground. But I ascertained that they were being looked after and there was nothing I could do to contribute, as if there would have been anyway. And I went into the other part of the shop to spend a fortune on a plectrum, I think. And that's a joke for these guys. Thank you. And when I got in there, then it was relayed to me that the world's gone mad. A plane has flown into the North Tower of the World Trade Center, and there's another one gone into the Pentagon, and all hell was breaking loose, which is what we were told. Then the following day, I was in a local hostelry called the Star, which some of you here may well know, which is sort of pertinent to the whole theme of tonight because it's a place that seems to exist outside of time. It really is timeless. It doesn't rely on any of the trappings of kind of modern entertainment. People just meet there and chew the fat, and it feels like quite a creative place to be. I was sat around a table with a bunch of people who all work in the creative arts, all forward-thinking, open-minded people, I would have said. But I was the only person sat at that table who was actually prepared to question what had actually happened the day before, and also say that our reaction now perhaps may be to not react and just stand back and assess the situation. Now, I'm not going to get into any of that because I don't profess to understand global politics or international relations or economics or warfare or strategy. I don't understand any of those things. But my personal instinct, whenever I hear a politician stand up and say, we're at war, it always makes me think, I'm not at war. I haven't chosen to fight anybody. And you might be sitting there thinking, it's all right for you because you're in a privileged position in a safe part of the world which is made safe because people go out and do that. I really don't know. But the only way I can personally deal with it is on that basis. So this song is about that kind of naive denial of war and a wish for peace. Whether it's naive or not, I would have thought it's something we all share. But it's a song of peace and love and the hope that maybe one day we won't all be at war. It's called I'm Not at War. For virginity. See what it's for. Send me white feathers, I'll take them with pride, as a symbol that I don't need to take no side. And it seems to me dividing for unity is like fucking for virginity. like my family, would I defend? I guess I would. If it came down to the wire, fight to the end. I guess I should. But it seems to me, dying for property, it's like fucking for virginity. Justify the killing till the cows have come home. What was once green pasture is a minefield all its own. But it seems to me bombing for security is like fucking for virginity. So one of the things that enables those people to take us into these crazy situations that have happened time and time again and from which we appear to have learnt nothing is that they seem to prey on our sense of nostalgia, which kind of relies on false memory. And I think we all have a tendency to kind of look backwards and somehow convince ourselves that things in the past were rosier than they are now. And we do it on a personal level as well. And I'll give you an example. I was rehearsing a little while ago with my dear friend Jason, who sometimes accompanies me. And as happens sometimes when you're working ideas together, points of reference kind of pop up. And every so often it would be, oh yeah, that's a bit like Bowie, isn't it? Yeah. Oh, well, he's dead. You know. And oh yeah, I like that kind of, yeah. So, who wrote that one? Oh yeah, Prince. And oh, this is nice kind of 80s pop, you know, sort of Wham, George Michael. And it was everybody that came up, you know, it was like, oh, they're not here anymore. And then we started talking about, you know, TV programs that we knew as kids and presenters. And that's a whole other minefield because most of them are now locked up. And so we kind of Jason came out with the immortal line, well, they're either all dead or pedos. And I wrote it down. I said, mate, there's a song there. And I did actually write the song. And I can feel, yeah, I know what you're thinking. It's like, can you really sing those words in a song? Is that appropriate? But I thought about what the song was actually about. And it was about that sense of nostalgia, that looking backwards and imagining that things in the past were really rosy and then the disillusionment of realizing that those things that were the pillar of your upbringing and your childhood and your rosy memories are all kind of crumbling now. So this song is a kind of naive lament for those days gone by, coupled with the sort of punkish reality that yeah, it's not what you thought, mate. And this is called Never There At All. faces I once knew, hiding out in places so far from me and you. I can't recall their names, but the images remain. Every now and then I feel so blue, because they're all dead, or they are pedos. I said, they're all dead, or they're pedos. Nostalgia just ain't what it used to be. Think back to the times when memories roam free, but they are now as terrorists to you and me. We must keep them in their place, deceased or in disgrace, because they're dead. Oh, pedos! Dead! Oh, pedos! I wish that it were okay to recall those heady naive times before we took a fall. But innocence has gone and left us here with little to cling to, everything to fear, because they're all dead! Oh, they're pedos! Or pedos. All dead, everyone. Or pedos. All dead. 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 Or pedos. All of which might sound a little bit dark and dismal. And I didn't want to bring you down tonight. It's been a beautiful sunny day and we're all here. It's the Fringe Festival and we're among friends and we're in a beautiful city. And life is probably pretty good for most of us, I'd say. Otherwise I doubt we'd be here tonight. Which brings me back to where we started in that time of turmoil. If you remember, I was standing on the riverbank and I was having to make that decision whether to jump in and go with the flow. And it was a time of immense disruption and difficulty. Now, back then, I was living in London, and I was playing in a band called Wise Wound, who I name-checked in the previous show, and I'm going to mention again because they were phenomenal. It was a hell of an experience, and the band was led by a visionary called Sue Tudor, who had been through some very dark times of her own, had a difficult childhood and into adulthood as well. But she managed to turn these experiences into wonderful, beautiful, inspirational songs. And one of the things we ended up doing was playing events for Mind, the mental health charity. And during this time, when I was personally going through this very difficult turbulence, we were down in Brighton playing a gig. And I took myself out during the break. I needed to just get away and clear my head and think about what was going to happen. And I looked out to sea, and it was appropriately a very stormy night. It was dark, the clouds were billowing, the wind was whipping up the waves onto the beach, and there was kind of all sorts of chaos going on in the heavens and also inside of me. But I looked out at sea, And somewhere amidst all this, there was a calm voice saying, it's okay. It will be all right. Just trust. Take the decisions you need to take. Go with the flow. Everything will be all right. And you'll end up where you need to be. Which I did. I found that place. We got through these difficult times. I ended up with my soulmate. We've had a family. We moved down to this part of the world. Met some incredible people. And life moved on. Now, 10 years later, I'm on that same stretch of beach in Brighton for completely different reasons, under very different circumstances. You know, life's good, the sun's shining, people were out playing on the beach, they were swimming. And I looked out to sea, and I remembered me back then on this same beach 10 years earlier. And I thought, oh, this is now me thinking back through time to tell the younger me that everything's going to be okay. And to tell me to trust and take the decisions I need to take and the steps necessary to get to where I need to be, and everything will be all right. So I've written a song about that. As luck would have it, otherwise there'd be a really awkward pause. And you wouldn't want a show with awkward pauses in, would you? And this song is called Calling from the Future, appropriately enough. Now, this song has a sing-along chorus, ladies and gentlemen. Not only are you invited to sing, but you must sing. And I'll explain to you why you must sing. Because, as I said, we're all in this beautiful city. We're at the Fringe Festival. We're among beautiful people. Life is good. We've got to a good place in our world. But somewhere along the way, you've hit those troubled times where you've been at crossroads and you've had to make a decision. And at that time, something inside you has made you take the right decision and trust in yourself and believe and go forward. And that thing was you tonight singing back through time to yourself then, telling you what you needed to do to trust and go forward to get to where you needed to be. So you need to sing along now, because if you don't sing along now, you won't send that message back through time. You back then won't hear that. You'll take the wrong path. Your life will go to shit. I'll turn around at the end of the song and there'll be nobody here. So we're going to sing. Now, I don't know if you're aware of this fact. Some of you might be slightly perplexed. The people on the stage here hadn't met before today. Not only that, they'd never played music together. They'd never heard my songs before. And none of us knew what anybody else on the stage was going to do. So this has been entirely improvised. So you might be thinking, well, how are we going to sing along with that then? I've been thinking that all night. But what we're going to do, I'm hoping this is going to be a Fringe festival first, it's going to be a whole new experience for all of you, is we're going to have an atonal sing-along. Now, I've run workshops before with non-musicians, and it turns out that it's harder to be a non-musician than a musician. Because what happens if somebody starts singing something and you sing along, you're either going to sing the same note or a note that harmonizes somehow with what they're doing, because it's physics. It's innate, you do it. But to sing something that actually goes a different way and goes on its own trajectory and clashes with the other person is a lot harder. So that's what we're going to challenge ourselves to do now. But the beautiful thing is, if you've ever been in a choir or something and thought, oh no, I'm out of tune, now's your moment. This is your big chance. You go for it and you be out of tune, and then you'll be effectively leading the room. So the words go like this. It's calling from the future, it's all fine. Calling from the future down the line. In fact, actually, if you just manage to get calling from the future, it's all fine, that's enough. But I'll give you the rest of the lyrics and you'll pick it up as it goes on. So, calling from the future down the line. No, that's wrong. There is no wrong, this is improvisation. Calling from the future, it's all fine. Calling from the future down the line. Your troubles they will mend, it's all good in the end. Calling from the future, it's all fine. There we go, simple. So, goes like this. If you could call back to your young self, what would you say? I believe I did that just the other day. Send a message back through time saying it'll all be fine. You know, I think it worked in some strange way. Here we go. Calling from the future, it's all fine. Calling from the future, it's alive. Your troubles, they will mend. It's all good in the air. Calling from the future, it's all fine. Lovely. Sorry, I forgot to go atonal at the beginning. We'll do it again. Now there's a bridge across forever, there's an eternal flame. The young you hears the old you when you call out your name. Well, I think it might be true. Yeah, what if deja vu is when a message from the future came? All together now. Calling from the future, it's so fine. Calling from the future down the line. No troubles they will mend. It's all good ahead. Calling from the future, it's so fine. Yeah. I stood there by the sea, and what I saw was me, gazing at the waves across of time. And I reached across the years, said, now son, dry up your tears. You know that someday we'll be free. Calling from the future, it's so fine. Calling from the future down the line. The troubles they will mend, it's all good in the end. Calling from the future, it's so fine. One more time, and calling from the future, it's so fine. Calling from the future down the line. The troubles they will mend, it's so good in the end. But calling from the future, it's so fine. You have exceeded my expectations. Thank you very much. I will die a happy man. Probably on stage. So yeah, having mentioned that everything's been improvised tonight, I thought we'd give you a breath of fresh air at the end by playing something that's a little bit prepared and slightly easier to get a handle on. And yeah, thank you for playing along. And actually, the thing I wanted to say about this next song was, when you reach the open ocean of possibility, you've found your soulmate, you've found your tribe and your friends and the place you want to be and the things you want to be doing, then what? That is when it gets difficult. And that's the bit that most of us really struggle with. And we don't know what to do with it. And I suspect that's why we're all running around like headless chickens trying to fill the gaps. And what we really need to do is just play. Is just welcome the space, embrace the opportunity to come together. And when you talk about things like that, people think, well, it's a bit frivolous. You know, when the news comes on, it's like, we're at war, the economy is buggered, and some politician has shagged somebody. You know, those are important things that we need to care about those things. You know, but if somebody's just, climbed Mount Everest in a wheelchair, it's the kind of fluffy thing at the end that sort of isn't important. Whereas those moments of human endeavour and those moments of collaboration and creative endeavour and just peaceful harmony are really what we're all striving for and sometimes fail to embrace. So this song is about that. And it's about the tendency to falsely look over our shoulders and always be living in the past when actually what we really want to be doing is being in the moment and having a play. So this is a song which the players on stage have played before. I'm going to give them some notes just to try and keep them in line. In one case, I'm not sure if it's going to work.
The jackets are off now.
And the jackets are off. So take them. You go, Barry. It's right in the middle. Right in the middle. So, now the first song we played tonight was called Shit Happens, and I have to confess, shit has happened, and I must apologise. If any of you have come along hoping to see Paul Bradley tonight, I'm afraid that due to personal difficulties, he wasn't able to come, and we're all actually quite sad about that. He's all right, but he couldn't actually be here, so we've had to soldier on without. So I hope he hasn't been missed and you've enjoyed yourselves anyway. But this last song, see, he was going to play some guitar and do some vocals and maybe a little bit of bass. So I could actually really do with someone to play. Yeah, you there? Stand up. Yeah. Come on. What's your name? This is Jason, ladies and gentlemen. Give him a round of applause. Can you see behind you there? That's a bass guitar. You might need to twiddle a knob to get it to make a sound or something. Just give it a go and see what happens. And if you feel like singing or whatever, don't. The jackets are off. So yeah, we're going to leave you with this song. I hope you've enjoyed yourself so far. I know I have. It's good, yeah. Have you seen, this is music. Actually, if you put music in front of a regular bass player, it's a pretty similar experience. Or a drummer, come to that. Hold on. I've got a bit of wardrobe problem going on here. Okay. Is that coming through, Stevie? Oh, lovely. When it starts to rain from pure blue sky, look above, ask yourself why when the air is clear. For miles around, water's falling to the ground. The open road fades away. Remember how we used to play, losing sight of here and now. Try to get it back somehow and play today. When you start to cry from smiling eyes, look inside, something dies. Are you being true, being real? What's dictating how you feel? Playing games that don't feel right, blinded by an unseen light. Have you forgotten how to see? Run and dance and sing and be and play. Just play. So play today. Well, we used to run, we used to hide, we used to jump, we used to slide, used to laugh, used to cry, used to live, we used to die, and we used to think, we used to care, we used to drink, we used to share, used to smoke, we used to dare, used to hope there was something there, and we used to trip, we used to dream, we used to skip, we used to scream, used to skip, used to die, used to love, feel alive and play, just play, so play today. When you start to cry from smiling eyes, look inside, something dies. Are you being true, being real? What's dictating how you feel? Playing games that don't feel right, blinded by an unseen light. Have you forgotten how to see? Run and dance and sing and be and play today. Just play. Thank you very much. Well, we can't leave you there, all sitting down. It's time for you all to play. Can you all get on your feet, everybody? All on your feet. You don't have to do anything. Just stand up. But if the music makes you want to do something, go for it. Just do anything. And if you want to sing along, sing along. Come on, it's your last chance. Here we go. In a field in Somerset with mates from the canal. There's Nick and Danny, Jason, Vic, Gavin and his girl, Spencer with the straw blouse, Bessie with the barge. I say a small 1, 2, kick off. They say no. We're having it large. Having it large. We're having it large. Having it large. We're having it large. Having it large. We're having it large. We're having it large. Hanging out backstage like some rocking refugee. Jason's packing Carlsberg down his spandex to the knee. Next to all you fluffy folk, I feel a tad barrage. Dress me up and do your worst, cause tonight we're having it large. Having it large. We're having it large. Having it large. We're having it large. Having it large. We're having it large. We're having it large. So off we trot into the night with vodka, rum and coke, munching tasty triangles from that circus bloke. No officer did not imbibe, I never had none, Sarge. If you don't mind, I'm on my way, cause tonight we're having it large. Having it large. We're having it large. Having it large. We're having it large. Having it large. We're having it large. We're having it large. Daybreak dawns with searing sun and eyelids stuck like glue. No one quite knows where they've been or who did what with who. I say I'll get the coffees in to go with toast and Marge. Will you be having regular? What do you think? We'll be having it large. Having it large. We're 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 having it Thank you very much. Jason Albury on the bass. James Watts on the oboes and shaky things and shit. Varian Weston on strange noises and keys. And Tony are all making a lot of noise at the back there. Thank you very much. Stevie Hatt's been on the sound. He's been a legend. Thank you. See you all next year for Think of a Conclusion. Good night.
You shout and no one seems to hear. And if the band you're in starts playing different tunes, I'll see you on the dark side.